morning and welcome to Morning Moments. Thank you for joining us today. Today I have a special guest from Greenville, South Carolina. She is from the JC Films Production Club there, producer and mother, wife, and so much more. It's my pleasure to bring Tara Massey to Morning Moments. Welcome, Tara, to Morning Moments. And let me ask you the question, what do you do and why do you do it?
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's a very loaded question, so it's a good one. I guess I can start out with my husband and I own a business called Dove Light Photography, and we're slowly rebranding it to Dove Light Productions as we get more into filmmaking and videos. I'm also a homeschool mom, and that's another adventure of its own. I'm an ultra runner, and then I now direct the JC Films Greenville Club. And I know that sounds like a lot and it sounds crazy, but I'd love to share my story, hopefully without getting too emotional. I love that I get this opportunity to proclaim what God is doing in my life and through all of these things. He's just truly blessed us, and I'm kind of coming out of a place of brokenness, and God has opened new doors, and I'm seeing some circles, coming around to fullness, and it's just awesome. So why do I do it? I guess let me go back to what we do. We just wrapped our first film with JC Films called Do Not Grow Weary. And I had the honor of producing it and working with just an incredible community of creatives and people who are just curious about filmmaking. And it's just been so cool to see testimonies being shared on set and people ministering to each other, and then us being ministered to by our community. And we've had so many sponsors. It was like anytime we asked for something, we received it. It was crazy, and we saw God in every teeny tiny little detail through all of this. And also, we probably spent the longest time on production for a JC film. I guess people do it in 9 days. We didn't really know that. We did it in like 20 days. So there's no sleeping and off eating and all of that, but we just kind of stuck to that whole do not grow weary theme. It just spoke to us like we're not growing weary because, one, we have an amazing coffee sponsor. We could go get free coffee anytime, but mostly it was God just working in all of the details and giving us the passion and motivation. And we just knew we were all doing this for a grand purpose, and that it's not just an earthly purpose but an eternal purpose, and that's pretty cool. It's a cool thing to realize. So anyway, why do I do it? All of that, those reasons, but also let me back up to, I don't know, last year, 2021 was a tough year, not just for me, but I think a lot of people. And I just kind of went through this time of God reframing me and even things in our business, and I truly hit a burnout with Dove Light Photography, which is such a passion for a long time. My husband thankfully did not, so he continued to really work the business with my help, but I knew God was changing our path. And I felt like, gosh, for the past 10 years, we've just been busy and broke. And I was kind of bitter about that, and it caused a lot of issues in my life. I was also trying to homeschool, and I felt like a failure in that. And, ultra running, my performance started to really slow down a lot, and I had to take a pretty long break, which grieved me because it was such a phenomenal hobby of mine, and that the running community is so cool, and just taking a break was painful, but because that's where I got filled up. That's my community. But God introduced this new community with JC Films. So I hit burnout, had a lot of issues in my health, and then one day I just realized that I'm a Christian. I put my faith in Jesus. I always know I can depend on Him, and I didn't realize that I hadn't fully surrendered everything. So sorry, I told you to get emotional, but it was just cool to have this moment with God and say, okay, Lord, everything I'm anxious about or worried about, I put it in your hands. And I went through this whole list. I think it took all day to just go through all these things in my mind and in my heart that were just weighing on me, and giving that to God, because His word says, Oh no, I'm blanking. It says, "Cast all your cares upon Him, for He cares for you," and that was really cool. That I just to cast all of my cares on Him, and I realized one, I hold a lot of value that God values me so much more than I've valued myself and my efforts, um, and two, that God cares about even the tiniest details, and so I can lay them down at His feet, and it was the tiny details that I think were burning me out, and so realizing that God really cares about those things, I could give those up, and things started changing big time. My health and everything started getting better, but I saw this redirection. So that's when we kind of learned about JC Films. Um, I went to the Atlanta club. They were having a acting class, and so I took the kids, and we all went to this acting class for the day. And my husband Jason said, "You know what? I'm going to come with you too." And I'm like, "Okay." And so he came too, and it was really cool because that's where we met Jason Campbell, the founder of JC Films, and he said, "You guys are in just the perfect spot. You really should open a club in Greenville." And we were like, "Well, we have the perfect setup." We just felt like, "Okay, let's see how this goes." And everyone else back home were like, "You're burned out. Why would you add something more to your plate?" But if it's the right thing, then it's a good thing. And it was the right thing. And so I have never felt more capable of taking on so many more things, than now, because I know that God's handling the details, not me, and He's so much bigger. And so, anyway, we started to produce this film, Do Not Grow Weary, and it was so neat to see just the community and people come out of the woodwork and help with this, and we just have felt God work through this more than anything. And we were like surprised, and even things like people showing up with a bottle of water when we were running out of water. And it was like, "How did you know we needed this?" God knew. And even little things that were like scheduling blunders just turned out to be God's perfect timing. And so it was just really neat to see God in those details. And now we're so excited about getting this film out to the community and sharing the hope of Jesus. One thing that was really neat is I got to be a part of the writing team for this. And when Jason Campbell sent the script that he wrote, he said, "Hey, it's really lacking some character development. It's lacking like a spiritual aspect. So you're going to have to add those things." And so we were like, "Great, like this our writing team, something to do." And three of us jumped in on that, and it was so perfect. We had one guy really focused on all the details and the legal jargon and like all these things we didn't really know much about. He was like researching and making sure our facts were right. And we had one lady who was like really tight on the grammar and the wording and looking at those things. And I got to add the spiritual aspect, which was really cool. And it was just so cool to see like this full circle moment happen, I think, because I've always really loved writing, and I thought it would be part of my life more. And this was a really cool opportunity for me to add that in. I'm not so good with storylines, but script aspects, theology, that stuff I really like to do. And so it's a scripture heavy movie. We liked adding a lot of scripture in it because it doesn't return void. And, but the storyline itself is, I think, really beautiful and will help a lot of people.
Great. That's wonderful. Can I ask you, Tara, what does grace mean to you?
Well, I know that grace is receiving something we don't deserve. And I think I've learned over and over what that means. And I keep thinking I know enough about grace, but then God teaches me something else. I think that we always try so hard to get things on our own, but we have to realize it's so much better when it comes from the Lord. And so grace means, not working in vain. Yeah, we've got lots of tasks to do, but really God has to be in the details, and I have to look to Him for that.
Maybe that's you today. Maybe you're feeling what Tara has been saying. That you feel that you're in a place that God is not even hearing you. He does hear you. He knows where you're at. He has you in the palm of his hand. He loves you and he cares for you. If you're feeling that there's no hope, maybe you need to be in a position like Tara said that she had to be in, of surrender. When surrender is your reasonable service, you can expect great things from God. If you come to the conclusion it's no longer my business, my film production company, my family, my marriage, it's all yours, and I'm giving it to you, that's when God says, now that you've given it up, now I can take it and make something beautiful of it. As as we end this interview, I'd like for you to take some time and pray for Tara and her family and her marriage and the production club they're involved with. They need your prayers and you need to practice. So pray that God would richly bless you. Tara, thank you for joining us for Morning Moments, and thank you for joining us as well. And if you would, keep coming back for some more Morning Moments. Thank you.